Shalom, 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 Yasha'Allah. This your boy, Brother Shem with Allah, back at you with another quick edifying video. Today's lesson is going to be called that he may please him who have chosen him to be a soldier. That he may please him who have chosen him to be a soldier. All right, first and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, call Halal Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash. That's all praises to the Heavenly Father, whose name is Yahawah, and his only begotten Son's name, who you ignorantly call Jesus, whose name is Yahawashi. All right, and the Holy Spirit, which is the Rawchaa, Qadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who have ruled well to the Spirit and have fed and edified the sheep in these last days, and has pushed this gospel and truth to the four corners of the earth for these last days. A mighty shalom. Another mighty shalom to all you Akim out there laboring on the highways and on the hedges and on the unicorn, which is this internet, pushing this 100% doctrine, this 100% truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. A mighty shalom to you all as well. All right, like I said, today's lesson is going to be called that he may please him who have chosen him to be a soldier. All right. And, Paul had wrote the letter to Timothy. And in 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse number 3, it says, "Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahawashi Hamashiach." All right. You have to endure. Okay. It says, "No man warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life." It says that he may please him who have chosen him to be a soldier. Okay. And that's our mission. All right. Is to please him who have chosen us to be soldiers of Yahawashi. Okay. At the end of the day, that's our mission. That's our goal. All right. When Yahawashi said, those who lose their life for my sake shall gain it. All right. And we lay down our life. All right. Like the scriptures say, give yourself, what is that? To Hebrews 12. No, Salakia. Get these mixed up. Romans 12. All right. It says, "I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of the Most High, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto the Most High, which is your reasonable service." Okay. And as a soldier, right, of one who has chosen you, all right, you must take heed to those orders. All right. We go to 2nd Esdras, right, chapter 8 and verse number 3. It says, "There be many created, but few shall be saved." All right. And there's many chosen, or many called, but few shall be chosen. Okay. So it says, "There be many created, but few shall be saved. So answered I and said, Swallow then down, O my soul, understanding, and devour wisdom. For thou hast agreed to give ear, and art willing to prophesy. For thou hast no longer space than only to live." All right. As a soldier, right, your mission, right, is to complete the mission. All right. It's not to, be caught up in the cares of this world. It's not to, do side missions, right? It's for you to do the mission that was set out to you, by them who have chosen you. All right. To set out this mission. Okay. And, when you agree to swallow down this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, all right, to eat this roll like Ezekiel, right, and Revelation, right, then, hey, at that point, and Yahawashi has sent that Rawchaa Qadash from above, right, you have no other space than only to live, right, than to be obedient as a soldier. Okay. And the scriptures talk about, we understand, when you go to war. All right, let's get that real quick. Salakia. Right? And we know wars are not pretty, man. Right? Wars are not pretty. All right. This is Deuteronomy, Salakia 20. And let's see where we're at. Yep, let's go to verse number 8. All right. This is Deuteronomy chapter 20. And just making sure. Yep, Deuteronomy chapter 20 and verse number 8. It says, "And the officers shall speak further unto the people, and they shall say, What man is there that is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go and return unto his house, lest his brother's heart faint as well as his heart." Okay? And this ministry, this walk is not for the faint-hearted, man. All right? You lose a lot on this side. All right? Understand it, man. You sacrifice a lot. All right? But those who understand, right? That sacrifice is to your gain at the end of the day. Okay? And you can't, this is not, people, get caught up, hey, you bringing out the same scriptures over and over again. You damn right. Right? And so people get tired of that. All right? People get tired of, continuing to read the scriptures out of the book. All right? Like, this is not for the faint-hearted. All right? To go out there to speak to Jake, hard-headed ass Jake, all right? And who, most of the time is not going to get it, right? That's why the scriptures say in Ezekiel, whether he hear or whether he forbear, all right? But we go out, all right, and we prophesy, all right? We tell people the truth, and you're hated, for telling people the truth. They don't want to hear it, man. The scriptures talk about how our people stop up their ears that they cannot hear because they don't want to hear this truth, all right? They don't want to hear the correction. They don't want to hear the correction. All right. One of my brothers had put a article, in our chat, and I had went to, our people, man, they love simplicity. Like the scriptures say, Proverbs 1, Salakia, Proverbs 1 and verse number, start at verse 20. It says, "Wisdom crieth without. She uttereth her voice in the streets. She crieth in the chief place of concourse." Right? It says, "In the opening of the gates in the city, she uttereth her words, saying, How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge." All right? And most of our people are fools, man. All right? As the scriptures say, man, they're sottish. All right? Sottish means stupid. All right? Wisdom crieth out. Well, how is wisdom crying out? By the men, right, who are the soldiers who go out on the highways and hedges, all right, and put their life on the line. All right? You think about going to war, and you're putting your life on the line out there. All right? And you can't be faint-hearted. All right? And that's, even in the law, right? It tells you, man, if you're faint-hearted, then you got to stay at home. All right? Because then you could cause other people to be faint-hearted. All right? This is not for the weak, man. When you think about doing this, man, this is not for the weak. All right? And if you're worried about what everybody thinks about you, this is not for you either, man. Okay? You got to have a different type of spirit out there. You know what I mean? It's like when you out there, man, you zone stuff out. All right? Because you in the spirit, and you understand, right? You're watchful. All right. But you understand, you zoning this stuff out, right? The scriptures say that we are made a spectacle. All right. We look like fools for Yahawashi's sake, but we'll be that. All right. Because guess what? That was the orders that we were given. All right. As a soldier of Yahawashi Hamashiach. Okay. But it says, how long, ye simple ones, will you love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. All right. And our people, they hate this truth, man. They don't want to hear it. They really don't believe. You got a lot of people who say they believe and they really don't believe. Right? They really don't. All right. But guess what? Our mission, all right, is to please him who have chosen us to be a soldier, man. All right. And to complete the mission that's on here, man, which is to preach this gospel to the four corners of the earth, man. Right, continue to feed and edify the sheep. All right, to hold fast to the faith, stay diligent, stay focused. All right, and warn our people, man. Be that watchman. All right, it's many jobs. Okay, and like I said, war is not pretty. All right, but the scriptures tell us, you know, uh, what we're fighting. All right. What is that? Second Corinthians. Yeah, okay, con. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse number 3. All right. It says, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. And you see, you have some of these Israelites out there who, they're ready to war after the flesh, man. Right? That's not our calling right now. All right. Our calling right now is to be fishers of men. All right. That's our duty. Okay. It says, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. It says, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High to the pulling down of strongholds. Because we have the best and we have the most powerful weapon ever. All right. Which is that spirit of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, Bahasham Qadash. And of course that word. Okay. So it says, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of the Most High, and bringeth into captivity every thought to the obedience of Hamashiach, like Yahawashi. All right. So people come up with their false thing and we cut that down. We correct it. All right. We chop it through what? Through our weapon. All right. Which is not carnal. All right. What's our weapon? Hebrews 4 and verse number 12. It says, for the word of the Most High is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit, and of the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. Okay, that's how powerful the weapons that we have are. Okay, the Rawchaa Qadash, all right, or the Holy Spirit, all right, which will guide us, all right, and bring things, to our remembrance, as he guides us through these, through scriptures and different things. And this word, man, this word that this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that'll chop anybody, man, and will cut you to the soul. Okay, this weapon right here, man, is dangerous, and people don't want it, right? You see these elites, they don't want this to get out. All right, but there's no stopping it. Okay, there's no stopping it, especially for those who it was meant to get, right? Because the elect are going to obtain it, and the rest are going to be blinded. All right, so they're trying their best. All right, but as a soldier, hey, we do the orders, you know, that we may please him who have chosen him to be a soldier, right? That's our mission, man. All right. We're told to watch, right? Like the book of Luke says. Let's get that. Luke 21, verse number 34. It says, "And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with the surfeiting and the drunkenness and the cares of this life, so that day come upon you unaware." It says, "For as a snare it shall come upon all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth." It says, "Watch therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man." All right. And to stand before the Son of Man, right? Yahawashi. Hey, that's mission completed, man. That's what we all want. All right. But the scriptures tell you to watch. All right. To watch and pray. Okay. And you got to have faith, man. All right. You got to have that faith. Okay. What did Yahawashi say? Luke 19 and verse number 13. Salakia. We'll start at verse 12. All right. It says, "He said, therefore, a certain nobleman went into a far country to receive for himself a kingdom and to return. And he called his 10 servants and delivered them 10 pounds and said unto them, Occupy till I come." All right. So we should be constant. Remember, we have no other space than only to live. All right. Than to do this work, man. All right. So we need to occupy, stay busy, man. In this place of confusion and land, the best thing to occupy, what is in these scriptures? All right. Like, what is that? Ecclesiasticus 39 and verse number 1. It says, "But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof," right? You're constantly in these scriptures. You're constantly in this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Okay. It says, "And is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in prophecies." Okay. So you're watching, right, to see, how close these prophecies are, what's going on, and it lets you discern the times to you, so you know where you're at. Okay. Yahawah has equipped you, all right, with things to help you, all right, in this war, man, in this battle, all right, that we are fighting, man. This is a spiritual battle that we're fighting, all right, and a lot of our people are not gonna make it, man. All right, they got the saying, "The few, the proud." The Lord is looking only for a few, all right. He's looking for the few and the meek, all right. At the end of the day, all right. Let's go to verse Jeremiah, Salakia. Let's go to Jeremiah, right, chapter 48 and verse number 10. It says, "Cursed be he that doeth the work of Yahawah deceitfully, and cursed be he that keepeth back his sword from blood," man. All right, you gotta put your work in, man. You gotta put your brick in. All right, you gotta fight this fight, man. Like Paul said, "I have fought the good fight, man." All right, you can't keep your sword back. You can't keep your sword back from blood. You can't keep this word, man, back. You can't be holding this word in. You gotta prophesy and get these words out. All right, imagine you holding these words in that are sharper than any two-edged sword, and here you are trying to close it up and tuck it away. No, man, the word needs to go out so it can slice and dice and cut and do what it needs to do. Okay? And the curse be he that doeth the work of Yahawah deceitfully. And we see that now. And we see how the Lord is dealing with those, right, who are not, who are doing the work of Yahawah deceitfully. All right, the Lord is eliminating them and putting them on the sidelines. All right, telling them to get your house in order, man. Right? When you heard that in the old days, you knew it was up. Hey, it's time to set your house in order. When you heard that, you already know. It's time to go to the spirit world, man. And the Lord is going to deal with a lot of folks like that, man. All right, because they're what? They're not doing the work sincerely. They're doing the work deceitfully, man. All right? It says, but cursed be he that doeth the work of Yahawah deceitfully, and cursed be he that keepeth back his sword from blood. All right? You keeping your sword back. You're not exercising, sharpen. Which the scriptures say iron sharpeth iron, man. All right? You doing that, gets another brother on fire. All right, he ready to go. All right, now y'all both amped up for the war, man. And you ready to go, right? But if you're faint-hearted, you can cause other people to be faint-hearted, man. All right. What is that? Let me get one more. James 4, is it 17? Yep. This is James chapter 4, verse 17. It says, therefore, to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is a sin, man. Right? You know what to do, and you choose not to do it, right? You need to be cutting and slicing. You need to be, watching. You need to be prophesying. You need to be feeding the sheep, and you choose not to. It says, therefore, to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is a sin. All right? Let that, sink in. All right? When you want to do your own will, when you want to do your own pleasure, all right, and you have no other space than only to live, than to do what? To prophesy, all right? To meditate, in these scriptures, all right? To feed and edify the sheep, all right? To warn the people, like Ezekiel, to be the watchman, all right? To get the blood off your hands, to do it and you don't do it not. Hey, shame on you, man. Woe is you at the end of the day, all right? Because we are in a warfare, man, all right? And you have to be, like Nehemiah, man. You got to have, a hammer in one hand and a sword in the other, man. All right? You got to be working, all right, and fighting this fight, man. All right? So I just want to do this lesson. Lord's will, this was edifying, right? But with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, Call Halal Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Qadash. Peace and blessings to the elect of the 12 tribes scattered abroad. A mighty shalom to the 144,000 men. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who have ruled well to the spirit and have fed and edified the sheep in these last days. Another mighty shalom to the rest of the elect out there. Stay diligent, stay focused. Keep praying for one another. All right, you men. And go out there and labor, man. All right, go out there and do the work. All right, to please him who have chosen you. All right, to be a soldier of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. All right, and with that we say a ball, and shalom.